Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'd like to share my recent conversation with our professional degree program career team here at the Darden School of Business, Gopika Spaenle, Jennifer Windus, and Jim Collins. It's a new year, and there's been a lot going on here with our executive MBA and part-time MBA students on the career front. And I thought it'd be a great time to catch up with Gopika, Jennifer, and Jim to hear about some updates, news, what they're working on, highlights from recent programming, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, here's my interview with Gopika Spaenle, Jennifer Windus, and Jim Collins. Gopika, Jennifer, Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, as always, Brett. Good to see you.
Thank you, Brett. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I always enjoy having the career team on the podcast. Obviously, we get so many questions about career support and career outcomes, all these kinds of things for our executive MBA and part-time MBA students. No better people for our audience to hear from than you. Gopika, how's everything? How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am energized after a number of activities and events starting off in the new year that we'll be talking about. And just looking forward to what probably is going to be likely to be a busy couple months for us, but happy to talk about more in the coming few minutes.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's ever a slow time for the career team. I feel like every time I talk to y'all, you have something going on. You're building towards
That's
something.
Probably right. I think we like to keep busy. I think the group of us enjoy and get energy from moving from one activity to another. So I think that's a good thing.
Jennifer, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm excited to be here and to share the latest from what's happening with Darden Career Services.
All right. Yeah, and lots to talk about. I mean, I'm not going to step on any updates. There's no spoilers here, but we have a lot to cover on the executive MBA front, part-time MBA front. Lots of updates coming. Jim, how about you? How are you doing?
Oh yeah, thanks for just hopping. I did have some great holidays. We do take Christmas off and New Year's. Very busy. We're sort of really into it with the part-time MBAs and the executive MBAs, and looking forward to this incoming class of MBA 26s and part-time 27s.
It sounds so futuristic, right? The class of 2026, the class of 2027, but that's where we are. So yeah, all of those folks will start in August. We're very much in the midst of recruiting them right now. So Gopika, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what's your role here.
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name's Gopika. I have now been at Darden for almost 2 years. I oversee our career services for our working professional programs. So that includes the executive MBA and part-time MBA program. I'm actually based in the DC area and specifically work out of our Roslyn grounds, Gold Sands Family Grounds. And in my role, I oversee everything related to serving the needs of our working student population, everything from coaching to activities and events and curriculum to employer relations, all of which, as I said, has now staff and team based out of Roslyn. So that is my role in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's really important for our prospective students to hear that we have a group of people who are up here supporting our working professional students' career, as we're talking about here, but also student affairs. And when I first obviously got to Darden back in 2015, nobody in the DC area. Now we've got these great teams up here. We've got our own space, all kinds of momentum here in the DC area. Jennifer, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure, Brett. I too am based at Sands Family Grounds, which is in Arlington, Virginia. I am an executive coach for working professional degree students. I coach both executive MBAs and part-time students. Regarding my professional background, after earning my MBA, I worked in international development, financing projects in emerging markets around the globe. Much of that was in Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and Northern Africa.
All right. And last but not least, Jim, I think you've probably been on the podcast almost as much, if not more, than anybody here at the Darden School of Business. So our longtime listeners will know your voice, but for our new listeners, tell us about you.
I can't figure out why you keep asking me back. So, but I'm grateful. So at this iteration of my career, I'm serving as executive coach and for the working professional programs with Jennifer and Gopika. I've built my entire career around organizational executive management development. I've really had three major phases consulting, then serving in senior executive roles with trade associations, running their education, training, consulting divisions. And this iteration of my career, I have chosen to dedicate it to assisting people who are seeking to transform and transition with their careers. So I am down in I'm down in Charlottesville, but I make it up to Rosslyn twice a month. I do my 3-day, 4-day pilgrimage up there to hang out with the professional degree students at their various residencies. That's my story. That's my story. I'm sticking with it.
All right, Jim. Well, thank you. And I mentioned there's lots of updates to share. I'd like to start by talking about the professional advancement course. This was a course that our first year executive MBA, part-time MBA students just completed back during what's called the January term, or J term here at UVA. It's a short 10-day term, essentially between the fall and fall semester and the start of quarter 3 and the spring semester. So this course has been in the program for a while. So Jim, you want to talk about what the professional advancement course is and what it's all about?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's predicated on the belief that has been confirmed over all these many years that the overwhelming majority of the professional degree students are coming here almost first and foremost to leverage the degree to transform their career in some material fashion. The overwhelming majority of them aren't terribly clear exactly what that destination looks like and how they're getting there. And they have, even though that may be their primary reason for being here, they have very little time in their lives, very little bandwidth to work on that objective. So, with their demanding job, the very demanding, MBA program, their families, and whatever else they have going on in their personal lives, the work on that primary objective is constantly being driven out in deference to the more pressing, and more immediate priorities within, work, school, and personal life. So Darden, in its wisdom, and this is very, very cool, because Darden is the only professional degree program of which I'm aware in the world that actually requires you to work on your career and your professional advancement objectives in the context of the program and get credit for it. So it tries, to the extent that it does that, it tries to integrate your varying agendas a little more seamlessly. So long story short, with that in mind, the professional advancement course has 4 basic objectives. First of all, we want to, focus your attention in the context of that course on whatever that professional advancement journey might happen to be, and get you thinking about it. Second, we want to engage you in a kind of a workshop design activity where you're actually beginning to put pen to paper and to develop an action plan for how you want your journey to unfold during your time here at Darden, and then begin to socialize that plan with your classmates, and also work with your career coaches around finalizing that and operationalizing it. In addition to that career transformation agenda, another major agenda that almost all students have is wanting to, as I like to say, open their aperture and begin to explore more broadly, what are the career options and alternative pathways that might be out there for me, such that whatever I end up choosing to do when I graduate, I'm making that choice from a far more informed standpoint. So those 4 objectives are what PAC is designed to address, to get you thinking about your journey and how it's going to unfold, to begin planning for it, to introduce you to a very robust alumni community, and to start advancing your exploration of alternative career paths in various industries and functional areas.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim, for that overview. I mentioned the PAC course just wrapped up for our first year executive MBA and part-time MBA students. Jennifer, any highlights from that 10-day course that you would want to share here with our listeners?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. One highlight was the high level of interaction with Darden alumni. Students had the chance to interact with over 60 alumni during the course. PAC included alumni panels by career objectives, such as switching, climbing, or entrepreneurship, where alumni shared their career journey and how they leveraged their Darden education. During another PAC session, alumni panels were organized by job function and industry. Students were able to choose sessions that matched their career interests or select careers they wanted to learn more about. Another highlight was the high level of interaction with other students. Students spent part of PAC in small learning groups where they worked together on advancing their career agenda and also supporting each other. Every student has their own unique career agenda. They have different professional backgrounds and they may have different destinations. And so it's important we support each one of them.
Right. Well, thank you for that. One of the things I heard, Jennifer, when I talked with a few of the students about the experience this year, PAC being a J term, is the students actually liked that they just had that course to focus on, right? It was the only thing going. They weren't trying to balance PAC with another class or another couple classes, as would be the case for our executive MBA students. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Students have an academic workload. They also have their day job and they have their personal life as well. So I consider it a gift that they were able to take only this course during J term so they could really lean in and spend the time thinking through their professional journey. Where are they now? What might their destination be? And what are the next steps they have to take to get there? We ask students at the end, what are you going to commit to? What are you're going to be your next steps to try to get to your destination?
Yeah, and the timing of it seems nice. The students are a semester in, they've had a couple quarters, maybe have their schedule a little bit more figured out. They're kind of getting a feel for the academic experience. Gopika, how do you see PAC fitting into the overall career model here at Darden?
Yeah, so if you take a step back and look at sort of what we've tried to design for all of our working professionals, I think of it in sort of three categories or three areas. And of course, it's not as clean as this. One sort of merges into the other and they blend. But first is exploration and discovery. Second is planning and preparation. And third is execution or launching the next stage of their career, whether it be switching to a new industry or function or climbing to a new role within the organization or starting their own business. And I think PAC fits very nicely in that area of exploration and discovery, but also starting to plan and prepare. So it's well positioned for, I guess, the journey that we've seen most of our students taking. And it really sort of, again, allows for focused time and attention to make progress towards it. The other thing I would say, it's not in isolation. Obviously, there are other career activities and events that we'll be talking about possibly that support a number of those elements, whether it be career and discovery or starting to get towards the planning and preparation stage.
Yeah, and to Jim's earlier point, a lot of other places, the career process is completely extracurricular. And so how do you find time for this? We tell prospective students all the time, engaging with the career process can be, depending upon the intensity of it, like having another class. And nice thing here at Darden is, well, you have a class that's specifically focused on just your career, which you get credit for it, and it helps you along the path of what you want to do post MBA.
Absolutely. No, it's a very unique feature of our working professional programs, and one that I think students really appreciate and value. Sometimes while in the midst of it, it feels obviously like a lot, but I think, it forces them to ask some really important, tough questions as professionals, personally, etc., that I think is valuable and sort of something they return to as well. I should say the PAC course is something that, we revisit and we talk about throughout their time with us. So a great cornerstone, I would say, of their whole experience.
I have a specific question about this year's PAC course, and there was a big event that happened here at Ann's Family Grounds at the conclusion of that course, kind of like a summit, symposium, conference. Gopik, how would you describe that particular day? Because it was quite a lot happened on that day. So I think it would maybe spotlight that just a little bit for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to give credit to my colleagues, Jim and Jennifer, for really spearheading this exciting day. This was a first for us, I believe. Certainly the largest number of alumni and students convening for this event. So it was held on a Saturday, and it was largely in person, although there was a virtual option. And it really was bringing together over 55 alumni from different functions, industries, backgrounds, and speaking with students about their career journey, about their experience, about their advice and insights, both on the industry, but also their own career path. And so students had a unique opportunity to learn directly from them and then also network across the day and through a lunch as well. And most importantly, had the opportunity then to follow up with these alumni and connect with them on a separate at a separate time. So it was just a special event because he had such great energy and excitement, and our alumni are always so willing to give back. And I just thought it was just a very nice kind of showcase of what our alumni, how they're willing to support our students as well.
Jim, I can remember talking with you about this as you were working on it and helping sort of bring it to fruition. What did you enjoy about that day?
What did I enjoy about it? Well, it was a happening day. I think the important thing is that while we have a very robust career services function for the working professional students, their professional advancement journeys are so varied and so idiosyncratic. We can lump them into major categories of switchers, climbers, entrepreneurs, enhancers, as Gopika mentioned. But in reality, every one of them is on their very own unique career quest, and it unfolds in its own fashion, in its own time. And that's altogether fitting and proper. And our view is that it really takes a village, a community to support the professional advancement of the students and enable them to achieve whatever their career objectives might be. So the nice thing about that January 13th event, that mini career exploration conference, was that it was the formation of, or the advancement of that village. As to Gopika said, 55 alumni. We had 8 or so second year students who were involved in the process. We had just a bunch of other staff involved in producing that. And I think what I was most jazzed about was it demonstrated the students how actively interested in and how open and receiving the alumni are to helping the students with whatever their journey might be and whatever stage it might happen to be at. So, and not just introducing to them, but giving a sense of what that alumni community really looks like and what can they actually do for you and how easy it is to connect with them and how warmly you will be received.
All right. Well, thank you all for indulging all those questions about the PAC course. I now would just like to check in and see how things are going for both of these classes, or programs, I should say, part-time MBA, executive MBA, as mentioned at the earlier stage of this conversation. Busy time for your team, busy time for our students along the career front. So Jennifer, anything you would want to share, recent highlights of part-time MBA students, things that they're up to from a career standpoint?
Sure, absolutely. Last week, we had a site visit to the International Finance Corporation, which is part of the World Bank Group. We went over to their offices and students learned about the different entry points to get into the World Bank Group as an employer. And we also heard from some of the professionals who work there who explained what it is that they do. Upcoming, we have coming up a special webinar on effective negotiation and how to get what it is that you want. I'm also really proud that this year in Darden's E-Cup, which is an entrepreneurship cup for students who want to start new ventures, 2 part-time MBA students placed during the competition. And I should add that the competition is not just Darden, it's open to all UVA students. So it was quite a win. The 2 students who won competed in both the engineering and the healthcare sectors. We have a lot of part-time students who are interested in entrepreneurship ventures and maybe launching them while they're students here, as these 2 students did. And then lastly, I'm just excited that we have a new part-time cohort coming in August. One of the things that we're really proud of is we start engaging with students as soon as they become students. We start engaging with them over the summer.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. So on the site visit front, I mean, that's really cool that I saw the LinkedIn post from some of the students who went to the IFC. And I know we talked about this in an earlier podcast episode about the conversations you were hosting here for part-time MBA students and alumni over the summer with some target employers. Gopika, I feel like one of the things we've talked about is that your team is trying to have more of these kind of site visits. Let's get out, leverage the location here in DC, actually go and visit some companies. Is that still part of the plan?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think part of our collective vision for continuing to enhance the careers experience is to bring and engage companies, organizations more regularly with the talent we have here across the working professional programs. So whether it is through our employer networking events that we host biannually, twice a year, or if it's some of these company treks or visits, as Jennifer just referred to one of them as, we're seeking different ways to, provide more interaction between students and companies. So excited about continuing that.
Yeah, for listeners who are curious about that employer networking event, we did a blog post about that on the Discover Darden blog, a Q&A with Gopika and Emily Funk, who is one of our employer relations folks here with the professional degree programs team. So check that out if you're curious. So Jim, we heard from Jennifer about the part-time MBA students and things that are going on with them. How about our executive MBA students? Any highlights you'd want to share?
Well, they're busy, as you might imagine. So for the first year executive MBAs and even for the first year part-timers, we have concluded PAC, but it's a gift that keeps giving, because what we're doing is you are required to set up an appointment with a career coach to talk about that action plan that you developed coming out of PAC, to continue to socialize, continue to refine it, and to begin to think about action steps that you can do to continue working on it. But we don't stop there. So another cool thing about Darden is, while we require you to sit down and in PAC, or the professional advancement course, and think about what your action plan is going to be, there is the experiential learning series, which is another series of required courses you have to take, in which you're actually required to work your action plan or some component part of that. So once again, it's another opportunity to attempt to integrate your professional advancement agenda or objectives, which is, for most, your primary reason for coming to Darden, with the demands of the MBA program and everything else you've got going on in your life. So that is in store for the first year exec MBAs. The second year, well, they have rounded the far turn. They're coming down the home stretch. Many of them have realized the transitions or transformations that they were seeking when they entered the program about 16, 17 months ago. They've got about 4 months to go, and so we're focused on Gopika shared and Jennifer shared a number of events we have coming up. But in addition to that, we're kind of working on a smaller group basis with those MBAs that are still looking to transition or transform and aren't quite where they want to be yet.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate you're mentioning the experiential learning coursework that the students will do. So that's 3 credits of coursework across quarters 4 and 5, right, Jim? Where students will continue the professional advancement coursework.
Yeah, and even into quarter 6. So I could talk very briefly about that if you'd like.
Yeah.
There's different tracks or different modules. We have a track for entrepreneurs. So it's an opportunity for you to do sort of an independent study light, where whatever stage you might be in with your venturing, it could be trying to develop concepts, it could be trying to de-risk those concepts and structure a business or launch it, or it could be I've got an ETA, entrepreneurship through acquisition agenda, or I currently own a business and I'm looking to enhance, grow, redirect it, maybe even package it for sale. That's a forum where you can work on that. There's a networking to advance module that we're looking at, where whatever your exploration or switching or climbing or entrepreneurship agenda may be, networking is a huge part of that. And so this is an opportunity to go about that in a very structured fashion. There'll be a professional advancement component to this with executive coaching, maybe executives in residence that you'll have access to. And then for the dedicated switchers, a whole series of small modules that will enable you to address the tactical things you're going to need in order to transition effectively and position yourself as a competitive candidate.
All right, so the work continues, but the credit-bearing work continues. This is, I think, one of the key takeaways. So you're getting course credit for this career exploration.
Right. you're required to actually do what you came here for. So, and I think the sizable majority of students really appreciate the fact that Darden not only recognizes that, but makes them work on that agenda, because as I mentioned earlier, the true challenge for the professional degree students is, while I'm here to make a significant difference in my career and leverage the degree to do so, I really don't have time to work on that. And to your point, Brett, it's always seen as kind of an extracurricular kind of after the fact thing. And folks never, without that kind of structure and requirement, that kind of advancement on that dimension just wouldn't happen. We're here to ensure student success. That's fundamentally what we're all about.
Well, Gopika, that's a good segue to, just sort of generally, what are you and career team looking forward to in the coming months? I know y'all always have things that you're working on. So what's ahead?
Well, I think Jennifer and Jim both have shared some of the events that we're working hard towards. Something that we haven't mentioned yet is maybe the residency 2 for the part-time MBAs that's coming up in March, and leadership residency 2 as well for the executive MBA, which takes place in April, which I always look forward to, and I'm sure my team does too, just as an opportunity to get together with the full cohort of students again. Both take place in Charlottesville, so an opportunity for them to re-engage with all the team and staff and everyone down in Charlottesville as well. And a chance for us as Career Center staff to either coach and or present and engage with students in that environment. And we have a few exciting things to be sharing with both groups at that time. So that's always fun. And then a look, down the road to welcoming the next cohort of students. I know we all enjoy getting to know new students and learn about their experiences and their goals and their ambitions. So we'll have that ahead of us this summer too.
And for listeners just learning about our part-time program, there's 2 week-long residencies in Charlottesville, one at the beginning of the program and one at the conclusion of the 18-month core curriculum. Also in Charlottesville, for executive MBA students, it's their first academic experience and their last academic experience. So a week in Charlottesville at the start of the program and a week at the end of the program. Always great to be back in Charlottesville with the students. I think they really enjoy it, and they find time to explore and get a sense of all that Charlottesville has to offer. So we've got you here. I wonder if we might ask for some career advice, since you're all here and this is a career episode. Jim, can I come to you first? What's a piece of career advice you might share with our listeners, something for them to think about?
At this early stage, entering the Darden program, 2 things. We have a CDY career course. Check it out. There's a lot of resources in there where they can use to define their professional identity, their brand, work on their marketing materials, explore career path alternatives. And I think the other piece of advice is, depending upon how substantial a transition you're looking to make, and for many, that's a story yet to be written. It's like, I don't really know what exactly kind of transition I want to make. And even though I may know, when I come to Darden, it's probably all going to change. But at this stage, it's like, begin to, as I like to say, and I get grief for saying, open your aperture and begin to think more broadly. Who am I fundamentally as a professional? What are my strengths, my gifts, my talents? What's the difference that's important for you to make? And where are the potential places where I can go do that voodoo which I do? So explore and take advantage of some of the pre-matriculation resources that we offer to incoming students.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. For incoming students, we do make CDY available typically a few months prior to the start of school. Self-paced modules, you work through them at your own pace, can definitely help you begin to engage with some of these career questions before you start in August. Jennifer, how about you? What's a piece of career advice you would share with our listeners?
Sure. So the number 1 reason students seek an MBA is academic knowledge. And the number 2 reason, which sometimes is not far behind, is career advancement or career transformation. Every student comes to Darden on their first day with a career plan or a career goal in their mind. I would say my advice would be engage early with us. The first step is to figure out what's my true passion? What's my true purpose? What is it that gets me up in the morning and makes me excited to do my job during the day? And one of the things that we do is help students unlock that. Some students who come to Darden, what their objective was their first day, that may still be their objective and they've achieved it by the time they graduate. Others may decide that they may discover something they didn't know of. Maybe they took a core course or an elective and it unlocked some new idea they weren't aware of. Or maybe through the PAC course or engaging with alumni, they discovered another career. So I would say to students, give yourself the gift of time, engage with us early, and partner with us and let us help you unlock what your true passion is for your job.
Yeah, I'd second that, Jennifer.
All right, Gopika,
Well,
piece of career advice?
what I would say is in the coming months and certainly before you maybe embark upon the program, reach out to your network. That is something we're going to be starting to talk about, certainly once you're on the program. I'm sure all of you have very impressive and well-developed networks already. Talk to them about your plans. For those who actually have an MBA, if you're speaking to someone who has an MBA, seek their advice. What would they recommend? What is their guidance? I just think it's a nice time before you embark upon this new venture to reestablish connections with those people, whether it be mentors or others who have helped guide you along your career journey. I always think that's a nice part of the process, particularly as you start the program.
Yeah, and even something simple as just sharing a LinkedIn update that you're going to be enrolling in the program. We have a lot of incoming students who do that, but not everybody. Gosh, what a great update to share. You just never know who's going to come across that message.
Terrific way to let them know what you're doing and the new program you're embarking on, and I think it's a great and easy way to make that announcement. So yes.
Yeah, we have a handy graphic for by program class year for you to share that. So part-time MBA students, there's one on the admitted student portal. Executive MBA students, the same, where you can just post it right there and say, I'm excited to share that I'm starting this program in August. Always a good thing to share. So Gopika, Jennifer, Jim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's always great to have you here. And with everything that was happening at PAC and all the work that you're doing with our part-time MBA and executive MBA students, it felt like a good time to get you back on the show. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having us.
And that was my interview with Gopika Spaenle, Jennifer Windus, and Jim Collins, our professional degree program career team here at the Darden School of Business. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like for us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's ExecMBA at darden.virginia.edu. Till next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.